Hello and welcome to a new Norwich City podcast that we like to call Canaries Chat. My name is Luke and I'm here with my co-host Chris, where we'll be talking all things Norwich City. Expect to hear about transfer news, matchday thoughts and all things football. So as it's the season, let's kick off with briefly talking about England. So Chris, what are your thoughts about how England's performed so far?
It's all very familiar, isn't it, to us Norwich fans? I think you watch England play and you just can't not think about Wagner and Dean Smith. I don't know what you think, but I just think we go 1-0 up, and the reoccurring theme for us was always, I think you'd probably put money on that we'd end up losing or drawing.
Yeah,
And it feels very same right now.
I'm slightly in a different camp though, personally. I
The
know
wrong
we've
camp.
I know we've had a bit of a discussion, before, but I just think personally at the moment, we're top of the group. We haven't lost yet, albeit the performance haven't been there. But whether you win 1-0, you win 3-0 every game, the outcome is to be top of the group, and that's what we've achieved.
I just think ultimately the only way you can get away with playing how we're playing is if we win the tournament.
Who says we can?
And I don't think we will.
So obviously we've got Slovakia in the next round of 16.
Yeah, and then it's
How do you think that's going to go?
That'll be 1-0. And then Switzerland or Italy. Will probably be Switzerland, I think.
So you think Switzerland will beat Italy?
Yeah. I don't rate Italy. Don't rate Croatia.
Yeah. I can see us beating Slovakia and making a bit of a statement. I can then probably see us beating Switzerland or Italy, but I personally think in the semis we'll get someone like Austria, and Austria are looking decent at the moment.
I think Austria will beat Netherlands.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably get knocked out to Austria. I get the fans' frustration at the moment that it's a little bit negative, and we have sat deep, a lot of our games, and you've got the likes of Foden that hasn't really kicked the ground running at the moment. Bellingham had a good first half an hour of the first game. It's been a little bit quiet since, but I think, as I say, we topped the group. We haven't lost yet. I think there are positives to take.
I think the issue is that he's now left it too late to experiment. So he did a standard team against Slovenia, but brought Gallagher in. That was the opportunity to play Gordon, Palmer, even Watkins, and just absolutely go for it. He didn't, because that's just the way he plays. It's the way Wagner played. It's the way Dean Smith played. Like, you're not gonna change that, and maybe against a more, well, you saw it with Norwich when we played more expansive teams. That worked in our favour, and I do think the England team is built like that. But you can't have potentially Ballon d'Or winner, best player in the Premier League, best striker in the Bundesliga. There was something ridiculous between the top four. There was like 160 goals or assists between the top four.
So how do you think he's going to set up against Slovakia then? Do you think he's going to make changes or not? Because
no,
I think the only thing that will probably change, I think he'll probably start Manu in the middle. I think he's realised now that Trent and Gallagher probably can't fulfil that position as a CDM. And then I just think, well, the thing is, Bellingham has not played as well as he could. And it's one of them ones, do you still play him or do you take him off? And realistically, you're probably not going to rest him, are you?
I think he could have been rested against Slovenia. He's not going to be rested now.
That's what I mean.
I don't think. I think Mainy's a fair shout to bring Mainy.
I don't think Saka's done much wrong at right wing. I can't see him being replaced. I can't see Kane being replaced. He hasn't really had the service there, and he's been dropping incredibly deep. I can't see him getting replaced. And the left wing is quite a hot topic at the minute, isn't it? Everyone wanting Gordon to play. Foden's gone back home for the birth of his third child, I believe. He's been to and from Germany to England and back, and
you could play Rice, Bellingham, Foden, Gordon, Saka, Kane. Like that was the
you
opportunity to do something against Slovenia, and we didn't.
so you'd put Bellingham as a CDM.
I don't think you need to play as him as CDM. You could just have Rice holding.
But we know how Southgate is, and we know how
Yeah,
protective he is with those two CDMs. That isn't realistic, is it?
no, that's the thing. It's never going to happen. The way
Yeah.
Southgate will line up is he'll do Mainu for Gallagher. The rest will be the same.
You mean Manu and Rice?
Yeah, no, as in Mainu in for Gallagher.
Oh,
So
right,
Mainu
yeah.
for Rice.
Yeah,
That
no, that
doesn't
makes
matter,
sense.
but yeah,
Yeah, I think Manu's definitely in. I think the rest of the team stays. The only one is, will Foden start ahead of Gordon?
I think he does. I think one of
uh,
our biggest issues is that we don't actually have a left-footed left back.
Well, talking about that, Shaw's back in training and is apparently going to be fit for this round. Is it too soon?
It's like
Probably.
how can he be match fit if he's been out for God knows how long? Like,
Exactly.
it doesn't work.
That's how they're reporting it, but you know it's difficult. I think stuff like that is what people want to see, isn't it? And they want the good news from that, when realistically he probably won't ever actually play within the team, if we're going to be real. And by the time you get to the quarters and the semis, you're not really going to then want to swap it around by that point, because you've got a bit of stability
Exactly.
at that point. So yeah, I think it's a good show. I think it's good that we have so many players that can play in these positions, and the talk with especially this England campaign is who's going to start. Whereas I feel in previous years you kind of knew how we were going to set up a lot of the time. If I remember rightly, the last Euros it was wanting to get Jack Grealish in the team, wasn't it? And that was a big debate at the time. But I think this campaign, there's just so many players that everyone wants to try and fit in, which is a good thing, but it's also got its downsides too, which I feel like, the price that we've been playing at the moment with the minutes that Palmer's got, I personally think you should have more. Same with Gordon, and some of the other players in there too. So we'll see, but always hoping for an England win, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. It's always the person that isn't playing is always built up to be the answer to everything, which isn't
Exactly.
always the case. But
yeah. So as well as the Euros, we've also got the Copa America that is started recently with, I believe, 3 of our Norwich boys playing in that tournament. So you got Nunes, Cordoba, and Josh Sargent. Funnily enough, the USA played Panama but last night, I believe, wasn't it?
Cracking game.
And in a shock turn of events, Panama actually came over 2-1 win, didn't they? So if I remember it correctly, it's not looking very good for USA.
Yeah, so I believe they've got to play
Uruguay, yeah, and Panama have got Bolivia, who've conceded 7 or 8 and not scored yet.
Yeah. So Cordoba looks like he's going through, and old Sargent, bless him, given 0 minutes. Disrespect
I mean,
on Twitter as well.
he had 5 minutes last night, but he, like you say, he's getting a lot of slack at the minute by some of the USA fans on Twitter, isn't he? Clearly don't rate him as much as we do over here, which I find strange.
It would have been nice for him just not to have gone, I think,
Yeah,
personally. Let him have a full pre-season here.
definitely.
Get
Yeah.
up to speed. But
I
speaking
wonder
of, oh no,
that well, no, I was just gonna say there's such a narrative, isn't there, between MLS and England, football and the old traditional. Well, they don't really know as much as we do, and what they say is ridiculous. But I just I don't understand what the sergeant hate is in the US. I don't understand what he's done to deserve that. Is it because he doesn't score? Is it because they got too many star boys in their team, like like Pulisic and Balogun, McKennie, Adams, Rayner. They've got on paper they've got a half decent team, and I guess when they see someone like little old Sarge coming on, I guess doesn't really fill them with a lot of confidence.
No, and I don't think he's had. I don't think he's really played a lot of minutes for America since he's been in good form with us. Like he
Yeah.
was playing when, let's be honest, everyone thought he was terrible.
Hmm.
He was playing and not maybe getting the output they wanted. So I think they've just got that picture of
Yeah.
him at the moment.
Definitely. Well, if we now go on to Panama, one of Norwich City's new signings, Jose Cordoba, has been playing for them. So, we'll speak about transfers and the rumours and the players, more on that now. But we'll start off with Cordoba. So he's the first player that were brought in this season. Quite young, and he's played in the Belgium league for, I believe, Levski. Is that correct? Am I saying
I
that
think
right?
it's
Levski.
Bulgaria League.
Yeah. Oh, Bulgaria league. That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah. So he played 29 games last season. I think he's played about 75 for them altogether at the age of 23. I'll be honest, I haven't really seen too much of him, but he seems like a sign that people are excited about and can get behind.
yeah. I mean, my Bulgarian Premier Division knowledge is not amazing, but I think is what we needed. Left-footed centre back. I think it's the classic. I think what's getting me excited again is we've come back to just random leagues, random players, young, like bit rough around the edges, but potential for that potential sell-on value or that kind of X factor value to get us promoted. We all know that centre back is arguably maybe our second weakest position now after left back. So something needs to be done. By all intents and purposes, from what I've seen of Cordoba Panama, I'm pretty happy
Yeah,
with it.
I believe he is a left-footed centre
Yeah,
back as well. Is that right?
yeah.
And
So
obviously, with Gibson going, feel like that was probably one of our more important positions to fill this year.
yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with having a left-footed centre back, can you? You know how the way that we've played recently, under Wagner. I know he's not here anymore. There was a definite love for having a left-footed centre back, wasn't there?
Yeah, and I
And
think with how Thorpe's looking to play, if you look at previous team, like they do build out from the back, and if you don't have, well, personally, if you don't have a left-footed centre back, I think that makes it 10 times harder for you to build up from the back.
yeah, no, I agree. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see how he plays and how he adapts to the championship because it is quite a big step up. I know the championship isn't quite the Premier League, but it's still a very, very physical and tough division to play in. And I'm excited to see how he plays. I'm just hoping he's quick as well.
Yeah, well, someone compared him to Rudiger, so
Well, fair enough.
prone to an error, but
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I've got some other transfer links for you, Luke,
oh,
and
go on then. Lovely.
I want your opinions on them.
Yeah, go for it.
So we've got this. This is basically just this week as well.
Yeah.
We've got Sarah to Roma, which was reportedly pretty close to kind of being done, but then apparently the sources reported that is not always the most reliable. But if he was to go, how much are you wanting for him?
I I think with stuff like this, I think there's always how much would I like and how much do I think he'd realistically go for? Because I think in recent Norwich years, I think we can all admit a lot of transfers that we've kind of done dealings with haven't necessarily gone as much as we'd like, but still within a ballpark, if that make any sense.
Yeah.
you know, I'm seeing. I think I saw on Twitter today. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. Like a figure of like 20 million, 25, that ballpark.
I think
Is that
we've said
right?
we won't accept, well, supposedly we won't accept anything less than 20 million euros, which is about 17 million. My argument would be Amari Hutchinson's just gone to Ipswich for 22 million. Sarah is better than him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's difficult because Norwich do need the money,
Yeah, I was going to
and
say, I think Sarah or Rowe, ideally not both, one of those is going to have to be sacrificed for a rebuild.
yeah,
Personally.
no, I agree. I don't think we'll get rid of both. I think we can definitely probably see us having one of them, one of the two. But from from how it's looking, um, I feel like a lot of our budget this year will be from players that were sold. I can't really see it coming from any other kind of way. And obviously, with that, you naturally then look at the big hitters, don't you? So the likes of Sarah and Rowe. And so 20 million euros. I think it's fair. If we're in a better financial position, could we have got more if we're, been a bit more stern? Yes, but unfortunately, I feel like Norwich do need that money. I feel like we could do with that amount of money. So I think it's not necessarily what I'd hoped, but I guess 20 million is still good for little old Nodge, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we put up kind of the comparison between Buendia, Madison, and Sarah, and I personally think Sarah for Norwich has been better than what Madison was. But
Yeah,
Madison kind of got the English tax, so
defo.
if you can get 20 million plus a shitload of add-ons,
Yeah,
I'd I'd take that. Moving
yeah,
from Sarah to the best player in the squad, Kenny McLean,
yeah.
my favourite Norwich player. To Rangers. Now, I feel like this one has a bit of a Johnny Howson under Farker feel. He's
Y-
Thorpe's
Mm,
coming in. He's gonna potentially. I'm not saying this is the case. Try and remove people that can control the whole dressing room, like Farker did it with Howson. Then got rid of Martin. Ruddy left. We didn't offer Ruddy a new contract, and it's probably the last time we can get any money for McLean. So if we can get 4 million for McLean, I mean, I'll be gutted. But I don't know what you think on that one.
I think it's difficult because McLean seems to be linked with a different team every single transfer window, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Let's be honest. And
Leeds last time, wasn't it?
yeah, Leeds last time. I think he's actually been linked with Rangers before a couple of years ago
Yeah,
as well. And I think that's natural because that's his boyhood club, and that's the team that he absolutely loves. So those rumours will probably circulate. Um, but player of the season last year done immensely well for Norwich in the season that we had, and stepped up as a leader in replacement of Hanley, who was injured for majority of the season. I presume that Hanley will probably still be our captain next season unless there's a change with the new manager, which you don't see that often. But he definitely stepped up last year, and he was just a Rolls Royce at the back last year, wasn't he? In that CDM role.
yeah. Now bloke, but I think potentially last time we can get money, so I think he may be on the off. But well, this is another Scottish one. Ida to Celtic. Again, I feel like you get 4 to 6 million, both parties are happy because I genuinely think he could do very well for Celtic.
Yeah, I agree. I'll be sad to see him leave. He's been at the club for so long, And I do feel like when he was here, he did try his best, and he wanted to do what was best for us. And he was on the bench a lot, and I guess he wanted to be starting more for a team, which is natural, for someone at his age. And I think what's shot us in the foot as a club is that massive deal that we gave him a couple of years ago. Was it 7 years, 6 years, something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
That contract we gave him.
I think it was, yeah, maybe like 5 or 6, I think.
It was something mammoth like that. And for a player like him, I think he should have gone off on loan earlier in his career.
Agreed.
And we just didn't do that. And when you really realistically look at it, and you look back at the seasons, we have Pookie up top that is irreplaceable, isn't he? Let's be honest. You're not going to replace Pookie. You then had Sargent come in, and that was difficult then in itself, because we couldn't even fit Sargent in properly, because we played in a formation where we only had one up top, and Sargent was then put out on the right, even though
right winger that he is.
Yeah, exactly. And he's an out and out striker, and we played in there last season, and and the season before for half a season when Wagner came in, and look what he produced. And last season he then had the likes of Ashley Barnes come in for a bit of experience, who he obviously just sat off behind Sargent. And on both their days, you can't replace them two. And I feel like the last 2-3 years it's been extremely difficult for Ida to get into the team, bar a few injuries, like obviously Sargent had last season. But it seems like he's enjoying life up at Scotland. He's doing well for Celtic as well. He scored the winner, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I think it's best for both parties, like you say, if he probably looks to move on. I'll be sad because he's been a good servant, and kept his cool and not really made a big fuss about things. But yeah, time to go, I think.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Last few, obviously we had Nunes linked away. It's a
Yeah.
Turkish league. I don't think anything. Basically, they said he's too expensive, and if we don't move, they won't commit to it. I'm personally very happy with that.
Yeah, I'm going to go a bit bold. I actually think Nunes is one of the players we more than likely want to hold off on more than any other player.
I think
he's got so much potential, isn't he?
Yeah, he has a very high ceiling. He screams Brighton.
Yeah, definitely. He's such a good football player, and I think he has been a little bit mismanaged in the past. But if you can get him playing how he wants to play, I think he will be a really good asset for us.
Yeah, big time. I'll keep him at all costs for me.
100%, 100%. And obviously, I think we can all admit Sarah is probably one of the better players in our team.
Yeah,
he just is. But unfortunately, like we spoke about, when you get the money at that extent for someone like Sarah, sometimes it's an offer that you can't resist. And the money that's been offered on the table for Nunes is nowhere near the amount.
Agreed. We then had 2 transfer rumours for the left back role. So we've got Van der Laan, Brazilian left back, and we have Akpa, who's from the Ivory Coast, I believe. He's playing in the 2nd division in France. I'll be honest, I don't know too much about either of them, apart from both very young in regards to that. But obviously at the moment we've only got we haven't got any senior left backs at this point in time, so something needs to give, basically.
Well, obviously Yanulis and McCallum are both gone, haven't they? Which I think again that was probably fair. It was fair for them to both go. I think Yanulis probably wanted a little bit more, didn't he? And I'm not really too sure what went on with McCallum. In all honesty, maybe the direction of the club just wasn't have it, with him at left back. We probably wanted a little bit more. I think, to be honest, they both done a job, didn't they? You can't
Yeah.
argue with that. I don't think they were terrible. I don't think they're amazing. I think they just both done a job in that position when they were both in and when they both kind of rotated last season. So nothing more to really say about them. But Van der Laan, like you said, I read a little bit about him. So like you said, he's quite young. I think he's only 21, and I think he's played for Palmeiras his entire career, and you know, I don't know enough about him. I'm not sure what kind of style Thorpe wants to play next year. And if he wants, the left backs and right backs to be more attacking. But from the looks of what I've seen from how these two play, it looks that case that they do push forward quite a lot. Again, that Akpa from the League Two team. I think again he had I think I read somewhere he had about like an average rating last year of about 7.2 or so, which is okay. Again does a job. Again, quite young. He's only 22. I think he played about 25 games last year for them, and at that age he's clearly getting a lot of football in at the moment. So it's hard to comment, isn't it, on players that you know nothing about. But historically, with Norwich, when we've got players in that we know lots about, they've turned out to be shocking. And the players that you know nothing about, like Emi Buendia, Gabriel Sara, Marcelino Nunes, they've turned out to be absolute wonders. So I'm hoping, we potentially get one of the two. They
Yeah,
both
that's what I was going
look
to say.
good.
I think we'll probably get one left back, and we'll, I imagine, give opportunities then to Montoya to step up and
Yeah,
fill that kind of reserve left back. Because with McCallum and Janudis at the end of the season, it was very much like rotate who do we think, rather than having like a firm left back choice. And the rotation can work sometimes, but I'm not a huge fan of it because it always means you've then got an unsettled back four. I think back four is the part of the team where it needs to be consistent every week. So that
yeah.
communication across the back four is huge. The last transfer kind of rumour, which I saw just before we started this, was an Olaf Kabachi, and he's playing
Okay.
in the Polish second division.
Okay.
Former Atalanta winger, and he's got
Right.
13 goals and 5 assists. To me, that is Manchester
That
all over again.
that is a Blachetta regen, isn't
Yeah.
it? Let's be honest.
And you know what? I'm here for it. If he
Yeah,
costs
all
you
here for it.
300k, if he
Yeah.
costs you 300k, get him over.
Well, I presume he probably wouldn't come into the first team. Obviously, I think he'd probably be like an under 21s or a youth kind of prospect. And I think, on the point of Thorpe and what he said in his interviews, I think youth is something that, as a club, we can look forward to going
Yeah, well, I
forward.
think his previous club basically, I think it's like run or partly owned by um,
Was
this
it the
kind of foundation.
Ghanaian
Yeah,
Foundation? Was it? Yeah.
yeah, to give like young footballers opportunities, and I think that's why like SCN is so um, plays such a big part of that club,
Yeah.
is because of those links. So yeah, no, it's kind of crazy seasons upon us, and I suppose with new comings, new transfers coming in, should I say, um, there will be players that we will have to get rid of, and
Yeah.
hopefully we are doing a keep sell bench next.
Yeah. Defo. Right. So yeah, I'll get the Norwich squad up now. And Chris, what I'll do is I'll go through the current list that's on the Norwich City website. Okay.
Yeah,
And I'll go through all the players. I want you to let me know if you'd keep them, if you'd sell them, or if they need a little bit more time. All
yeah.
right. So obviously we'll start off with the goalkeepers. George Long,
So
Angus Gunn,
keep.
Dan Barden.
I would sell,
Okay, interesting. Reyes.
and then I'd keep Reyes, and then I'd go and get another like experienced number 2. I think
Defenders. Jack Stacey.
keep,
Grant Hanley.
keep.
Interesting. I'd get rid.
No, I think just for the experience, I'd just keep him. It's a toss up between him and Duffy.
Fair enough. Well, we'll talk more about it after. We'll rattle through. I want your first thoughts on it. Every player. Shane Duffy.
Sell,
Keelan Fisher.
keep.
Jonathan
Needs more time,
Tompkinson.
should I say? Needs more time.
Same for Tompkinson.
Yeah,
Jaden Warner.
needs more time.
Jose Cordoba.
Keep,
Oh, shock. Midfielders. Broha Signs.
keep,
Liam Gibbs.
keep.
Christian Fashnak.
Sell, but he could do bits in a number 10, I feel. But
Gabriel Sara.
I'm going to say sell.
Okay.
And that's purely, actually, I'll rationalise it after.
Jacob Sorensen.
Keep,
Kenny McLean.
keep,
Onel Hernandez.
sell,
Marcelino Nunez.
keep,
Jonathan Rowe.
keep,
Tony Springett.
sell,
On to the forwards now. Josh Sargent.
keep,
Ashley Barnes.
keep, but I'd want him as
Keep.
third choice striker.
Adam Ida.
Sell,
And then Abu Kamara.
keep.
Again, so those are all the players that were listed on the Norwich website. Sorry if I've missed some of the more younger prospects off there. So, yeah, I agree with you with the goalkeepers. You know, I think Angus is going to be our number one, even though he has, funnily enough, been linked here and there, isn't he? But I can't see him leaving this season. Reyes, again, really young, had a really good loan spell last year, where he was highly rated at Forest Green. So excited to see what he can progress into. I guess, you know, you'd always want 3 or 4 keepers, wouldn't you? I guess George Lyon does a job. You know what I mean? He just does a job
Yeah,
if needed.
he's all right. I'd
Yeah,
want slightly better number 2, but
yeah. And then Barden, obviously, you know, I think he's probably more preferred over Reyes, isn't he? Just due to a little bit more experience. But
yeah.
Jack Stacey, Super Jack Stacey, obviously, no doubt, starting right back, was absolutely immense last season. Thought he was fantastic. He had a few off games here and there. His crossing is a bit 50-50, but overall, I think he was really good last year. We'll get Hanley. You said keep. I'll give my rationale. I just think we probably need a bit more of a clear out of the club, and I know we've done that before. And I just think Hanley's one of them players that we just kept on to for too long, and I just think it's probably time for him to look somewhere else. And I just feel like if the club is looking to go in that different direction, I think, you know, he is probably the ones that does need to go.
He would be my 4th choice, but that's why I'd have kept him, because I don't think he'd play an integral part. I'd have Cordoba. I'd buy
You'd
another centre
start
back.
Duffy. You'd start
And
Duffy with
no,
Cordova, wouldn't you?
I'd get rid of Duffy.
Really?
Cordoba. Or I'd want another centre back, and then I'd want Brad Hills to be like the 3rd centre back, and then Hanley there for.
Yeah, Brad
Yeah.
Hills, just on him, what a football player.
Yeah.
What a player. Unbelievable. I'm very excited that we have him at the club.
I'd really want him to start, but if we go and buy another centre back and we're kind of looking to keep Shane Duffy a very good League One or maybe even lower Championship where he's playing week in, week out.
Well, saying that, I know Tompkinson went out on loan last year. Jaden Warner, I watched him last season when we played Fulham in the Cup, and I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
He looked very, very composed, and it didn't seem like that was his first couple of games that he's actually ever played properly. And for a team like Fulham, and I believe that was the fourth round of the cup at the time, they played a pretty good, solid squad. And I know ultimately we lost the game, but he just looked like a natural in there.
He didn't
And I
look
feel
out of
like
place, did he?
no, and I feel like he could be someone that we push this year.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be against that
But
at all.
Tomkinson, I'm not really too sure. I think he had an okay loan spell, didn't he, last year? But not to the hype of Brad Hills, who again was just absolutely amazing. Obviously, Signs, what a football player. We've got to keep him in. He needs to start. And how funny is it that he wasn't even playing the first kind of quarter of the season? We were letting him rest on the bench that whole time, eh?
Yeah, I think.
What a
I know they
player.
said they were managing injury, but
Yeah,
seemed a little bit confusing. But I'd just like to point out my rationale for Sarah is that I do think we need a rebuild, and I don't think we've got the money to do it. So you've either got to sell Sarah or Rowe. I feel like we'll get more money for Sarah than we would Rowe because I think Rowe's injuries will put people off a little bit. So I think something has to give, and I think
defo.
it would sadly have to be Sarah.
I absolutely love Johnny Rowe. Right, I think, I think back to the times me and Chris 2, 3 years ago that we were hyping about him when he was at the reserve team, the under 21s, and he came on against Liverpool that year, and we were really, really pleased. And I've
Yeah,
loved him. I've always loved him. I've always wanted him to do well. But I just don't. Again, I know we probably need to sell Sarah, and I know Sarah will probably be the one to leave, but I think Rowe is probably easier to replace than Sarah. I think that's probably
yeah,
obvious, but you've got Abu Kamara that had an absolute amazing season at Portsmouth last year, and I feel like he could probably slot into that right wing more than us getting a replacement for Sarah, because Gabriel Sarah is irreplaceable, but money
agreed.
talks, doesn't it? And he will probably be the one to leave,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
agreed.
But funny we talk about replacements like Cam. You said Christian Fashnak sell, but could be good as a central attacking mid.
I think he's just a bit of a fox in the box, and he like
Yeah.
he just turns up.
What's
So
he scored with? His left foot, knee,
yeah,
hip,
whatever's there.
whatever's there this year.
Yeah, I mean, we'd definitely want him gone, but I don't think he'd be terrible. I don't think he's a right winger. So
Yeah.
right midfielder, should I say?
Yeah. No, of course. Sorensen obviously signed a new contract, hasn't he? I just love Sorensen.
Yeah, he just
he just plays wherever he's asked. He's
he's
just a
just
nice
happy to
guy.
be here, and he's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
oh, a
You know,
lovely lad.
I will say I think we will be seeing more of Sorensen this year, though.
Do you? Well, what?
Yeah.
Just 'cause he's Danish.
No, I can just see us playing him more. I don't
I
know
can't.
why. I could just see us weirdly giving him an opportunity this year. I don't know what's telling me that, but yeah. Liam Gibbs, again, he was very well rated when Wagner came in for that half of the season, wasn't he? He played nearly every game.
And then he tried to
Um,
play him as a striker
as
instead of
a
winger.
cam, wasn't it? And a
Yeah.
winger. And it's difficult for players like Liam Gibbs to get into that Norwich team when you got the likes of Sarah, McLean, Nunez playing so well.
Agreed.
You just can't fit him in.
No,
Is he a good
no,
impact sub though? You'd argue yes,
potentially, but I think he's a very good squad player.
definitely, definitely. Kenny McLean, we spoke about him. I think his time has come. He's been an absolute great servant of the club. You know, I if I think rightly, and we go back to that team that went up on the Farc, you had McLean in there, Hernandez, Hanley. I think they're the only three that are really remaining now. You know, God, you think that's 5, 6 years ago now, and naturally you'd probably think players like that would move on by that time. And I think McLean, what, 2 promotions with the club, player of the season, been an absolute Rolls Royce at the back. I think we can fairly say he's given his fair share to Norwich City, can't we?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think he's just a legend.
I don't want him to go, but I think it's probably best for him and his career that he does.
Yeah,
I love the guy. I think he's absolutely amazing, and it's just a shame if if the rumours are true about Rangers. You never want to see a player leave, do you? You know,
no.
it's one of them ones, but
Well, some you do, but
yeah, you do feel sorry for them a little bit though. You know, even though they are whack, sometimes you do feel a little bit like, oh, that's a bit sad. But
know about
yeah,
that.
yeah. Just quickly go through the rest. Ono Hernandez, you should sell.
Yeah.
I say keep.
No, that's a terrible take.
I don't think it is.
It factually is.
I don't think so. And
He's not
obviously,
going to go. He's not going to go anywhere.
but I, again, I think he does offer something off the bench.
Yeah, hitting row Z every single time he tries to cross the ball.
He's quick.
Yeah,
He's direct, and you cannot argue that before he got injured this year, he did play quite well.
Okay. All I'm saying is that first season, 1 assist. He did have a good 18-19 with 17 goal involvements, then 3 goal involvements, then 0 goal involvements, and then 7 goal involvements, and then 2 goal involvements. Not good
Fair,
enough for
fair,
Birmingham.
but
He's a lovely lad. He's a lovely lad. But
I will also say, but he hadn't really been given the chance. And if you think when we went up, the players
yeah,
that we brought and the players that we got in, Rashica, God knows what happened in that transfer. That meant that Hernando was not getting a sniff in that football club at that time.
he's not a Premier. He's not a Championship player, so he's not a
No,
Premier League player.
no, but I don't think he's had his fair share, and I arguably say that like I said before he got injured, probably the best he'd actually played in Norwich for recent years, and it's unfortunate he got injured because God knows what he could have done last year before he did get injured. Because I feel like he played quite well. I do feel like he is a good sub to have if needed, and you got to think, obviously, money wise, what would we realistically actually get for him? Is
Yeah,
it actually worth selling him?
potentially not. You raise a very valid point, Luke.
It's just something, you know what I mean? Because I feel like recent Norwich years we've lacked a bit of directness and a bit of pace, and I know there's a fair few fans that don't like us keeping the ball the way we did, and it going back, and we want it to be a bit more, from a fan's perspective, more direct. And I do feel like, regardless of his crossing or not, Hernandez is one of them players that does just like to pick up the ball and just run at defenders.
Yeah, that is one of his strengths, is that he is direct.
Defo. And he's just a lovely bloke that absolutely loves Norwich City and Argos, so you cannot complain. So Nunes, Rowe, again, no brainers. Love to keep them both. Unfortunately, Rowe, I guess there'll probably be some talks probably about Crystal Palace with them getting rid of Elise, maybe bringing someone like Rowe in. Do you think he's Premier League ready at this time?
Yes, but I think his injury record will still scare people away.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think injured a fair bit the last couple of seasons, and last year was his burst into the scene, wasn't it? I think if you remember right to the start of the season, his goal scoring record was 5, 6 games he scored in a row.
It was 7.
7, even better. And we all love him, don't we? What a player! What a guy! So nice, so humble, and I love him to stay. And if we could get a full season out of him, I think we can look to do very, very well this year. Sargent, you keep hands down. What'd you say about Ashley Barnes?
I think I hesitantly said keep as a
Yeah, I
third
agree with that.
choice striker.
I don't think you get rid of him. I think he grew into it a lot more second part of the season after that injury. I think it. I don't think his start of his Norwich career would have been as well as he liked, and I do think the purpose of buying Barnes was to either get about 60, 70 out of him or bring him on. And unfortunately, with that Sargent injury, he then, was made to play 90 minutes a lot of the weeks, which probably maybe a
Yeah,
bit too much for him at the time, and hence the few injuries that he's got. But I feel like he's a really good asset to our club. He does bring
yeah,
that bit of strength in there. He does hold the ball up well, and he does have that bit of aggressiveness in him that
yeah.
we know
I
we
like.
have lacked in recent years, haven't we?
Yeah, no, I like him. I'd keep him.
Um, yeah, definitely keep him. He definitely do a job. But we need to play to his strengths, don't we?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Ida, yeah, I think we've spoke about that already, haven't we? With Sell, Kamara, I really hope he gets minutes next year. I really hope, but I've just got memories of Barley member, and I can see an offer coming in from Portsmouth and him leaving. I'd love to keep him, but I don't know if we can guarantee him minutes.
I think we will keep him personally.
Yeah, I think we will. I think, you know,
I think
I,
Fashnak goes and that then frees up a substitution
I
place.
think you probably want to be starting though, because I think, Portsmouth, they've gone up, they've done really well last season. He was a big part to play in their promotion winning side, and I think you'd probably easily slot back into their team in the same league that we're in now. And I, j-
Yeah.
he played really well last year, but I just struggle to see where we can fit him into a point where he feels like he's getting enough game time.
Yeah,
I think it'll probably be incredibly hard.
no, I agree. I agree. But I still think he'll stay and he'll be that backup to Rowan Borgia.
Defo, and I think they all came back to training today, didn't they? Which
Yeah.
is good, nice and early. But we did also get to see the lovely new training kit with our new sponsors, Blakely.
Mm,
Um,
indeed.
how how do you feel about that one? I personally wasn't really too sure what to make of it. I personally have never heard of the clothing brand. I don't own any of the clothes that they do. So in my eyes, at the end of the day, it's just something on the front of a shirt, isn't it? But how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy. I think going by the training top. We're going for like a similar design logo wise as we did with Lotus, which I'm very, very happy about because I mean, we were saying it on Twitter or X earlier that I think last year's was like a Hall of Fame category of three kits
Yeah,
that were absolutely smashed out of the park. So, yeah, no, I'm happy with it all. And I'm just basically, I would think there's rumours it's maybe Tuesday or Wednesday for the kit.
nice.
Hopefully
Yeah,
it's sooner, but yeah,
yeah.
see what the kit looks
Well,
like. And
hopefully, on our next podcast, we can talk more about the actual kit once we see it actually come out, and we could probably give it a good little rating then. But so far at the moment, we've only got the training kit to go by, so hopefully we can talk a little bit more about that on our next one. Along with the kit that came out this week, we obviously had our fixtures. I love seeing what teams we're going to get, and I know there's a bit of a divide because people are like, oh, what do we get to see? 46 games that we already know we're going to be playing. Like, what's
mm,
the hype about? Um, but I don't know. I just, as a fan that loves to go to, you know, a lot of the away games and all of the home, I just like to know where I'll be going and when kind of thing. And I wanted Oxford, didn't I, away at the start,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you
I
called
got
it.
it. So I called it. Really, really pleased with that. I think it should be a ground that a lot of people probably haven't gone to. So that'll probably be a lot for them to tick off, which is amazing. So our first home games at Carrow Road is Blackburn. Not too sure how they're going to do this season. They didn't have a very good season last year, did they? So
No,
then we've
tricky
got
to call this time.
Sheffield United obviously come down. Coventry that we know that are a good team. Going into to September, we've got Swansea away and we've got Watford at home. So let's say the first five. So Oxford, Blackburn, Sheffield United, Coventry, Swansea. How many points are you hoping we pick up at that point?
Hoping or what I think will
We'll
happen?
do both. How many do you hope for? And
Well, I mean, I'm
everyone,
hoping for 15.
everyone's going to hope for 15, aren't they? How many do you think we'll get then?
I reckon 10.
10?
Win against Oxford, win against Blackburn. I think we probably lose against Sheffield United. And what was the other game that wasn't Coventry?
Swansea away.
Win against Swansea, draw against Coventry, lose against Sheffield United.
I'm going to go absolutely nuts here. I think we get 13.
Okay.
Genuinely.
Draw against Sheffield?
No.
Oh, you think we beat Sheffield?
I think we beat Oxford. I think we definitely beat Blackburn at home.
Yeah.
Sheffield United, I think we beat. I think that them as a club at the moment are just in the mud. And I predict them to not do very well this year. I don't think they'll get playoffs. I think they'll probably finish mid-table. I can't see them doing very well.
We'll
I think
save predictions for another episode.
yeah, we'll come back on them, but
Yeah.
I just I think they're a little bit like us. They went up, they went down, they went back up, they've gone down again. I think this is their kind of rebuild time, and I think they've lost a lot of players that they've spent money on. Financially, I don't think they're very great at the moment, and I just don't see them doing very well. I think we're gonna draw against Coventry away, and I think we'll beat Swansea away because I think there's a little bit of a gap. There's like an international break gap in between them two. It's hard because you don't know what any teams are going to be like, do you? It's a new season, fresh start, players come in, players leave. You normally see one of them clubs do a lot better than you predict. But, I just, with the team that we have, I can't really see us losing to any of them.
I think that's fair. I think that's a very positive outlook.
And going on with our home record as well, we still haven't lost since November, and that still carries on, regardless of if it's a new season, and Blackburn at home and then Sheffield United at home. I definitely think Carrow Road will be a fortress next year. And the way that we made it a fortress, considering results not going our way, and we didn't really want the manager that we had in at the time, I just think with a new manager, with a new vision, a whole, a bit of a rebuild, safe standing being in, I feel like Norwich can definitely be a more difficult place to go to this year than it probably was last year.
If it's even harder than it was last year, then we should be in a very good place. We only have to be okay away from home, and that should be us sorted.
Exactly. I can just see fans getting behind us a lot more now.
Yeah.
It was just a bit negative at times last year, and we still dealt with that, and we still had an amazing run. And I just think the home games are where we're going to pick up a lot of our points. But like you said, we need to make sure that we're getting a few more than we did last year away, because that really let us down, didn't it? That away form really let us down, unfortunately. But who knows? New season, Norwich City FC. Hopefully, are going to do very, very well next year. Fingers crossed. Me and Chris will be going to all the games.
New season, new podcast to listen to. What more could you want?
Exactly that. And there'll be more content coming out in the next weeks or so. We are on X, we're on Instagram, and we also have a TikTok as well. So follow us all on all the socials. That would be amazing. But what we'd like to do is end every podcast off with a trivia question. So we'll ask the Norwich City or football-based trivia question for you guys to answer. And if you answer it correctly, we'll start the next podcast with a shout out. But before I go into the trivia question, anything else, Chris, from you?
No, it's just make sure if you are listening on Spotify, to leave a review on there, and if you're listening on YouTube, to make sure you like and subscribe as well, because we'll be doing like clips and other bits on there.
Lovely, perfect. Thank you, my man. So all that's left now is to say thank you. Thank you for letting us ramble on at you for the last hour. It's appreciated. We're hopefully doing a lot more podcasts in the coming weeks, like I mentioned, and all the support is greatly appreciated. So thank you from me. And what I'll do now is leave you with the trivia question. How many times has the English men's football team played at Carrow Road? I'll let you guys sit on that one. See you all next time.